All right, so this is gonna be the third time I'm doing this video today. First time my phone died, second time it was too long. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit faster so I can post it to YouTube. So today we are talking about character development again, day 2. Yesterday we talked about it a little bit, and today we're actually gonna read a story and apply it. So remember, we are explaining character development. What is character development? Character development is how a character changes from the beginning to the end of a story as a result of the experiences they had. So the stories yesterday, Goldilocks, she changed from the beginning to the end because of different things that happened. The Grants, they changed from the beginning. They were just scared and nervous to the end. They were kind of like terrified because they had no idea what was going on. They were a bit worried. That's what character development is. How do we find it? Step 1, we identify how the character feels at the beginning of the story. Step 2, we identify how they feel at the end. Step 3, we ask ourselves what made them change their feelings. And then step 4, we can write our answer by saying at the beginning, blank felt blank, but at the end, they felt blank. He or she changed his mind because blank. Why do we do this? We do this because good readers think about how characters develop in order to understand the impact that the events of the story have on the character. So remember, we don't just determine things, we don't just read, we read for a purpose, and today our purpose is character development. I'm going to go down a little bit so you guys can see it. We have 2 characters today. We're going to talk about character development. I am going to do the whole thing for our first character, Maya, and then Chloe, we're going to identify together how she feels at the beginning, and then you're going to have to tell me how she feels at the end and why. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We are reading Each Kindness, and as we are reading, we are looking at character development. That winter, snow fell on everything, turning the world a brilliant white. One morning, as we settled into our seats, the classroom door opened and the principal came in. She had a girl with her, and she said to us, "This is Maya." Maya looked down at the floor, and I think I heard her whisper, "Hello." We all stared at her. Her coat was open, and the clothes beneath it looked old and raggedy. Her shoes were spring shoes, not meant for the snow. A strap on one of them had been broken. So at this point, I'm going to stop right here and think a little bit about Maya because she's our first character. At this point, I'm thinking that Maya is kind of a nervous person, a shy person, and that she might not be very rich because her shoes were missing a strap, her clothes were old and raggedy. But I'm hoping that we can learn a little bit more about Maya as we continue. So let's see if we can see anything else on the other page because we only have really seen Maya say one thing and she kind of like looked down and said hello. Let's see if we can think, is she nervous all the time or is sometimes she less nervous? Our teacher, Miss Albert, said, "Say good morning to our new student," but most of us were silent. The only empty seat was next to me. That's where our teacher put Maya, and on that first day, Maya turned to me and smiled. So right here, I can stop and think and I can say, I wonder how Maya feels at the beginning of the story. Maya seems friendly. So I'm going to write, at the beginning, Maya is friendly. All right. So at the beginning, Maya is friendly. So that's how I think Maya is at the beginning. I know Maya is friendly because although she was a little scared and looked down, she still said hello. And then when she went to sit next to the person, she smiled. Okay, so Maya turned to me and smiled, but I didn't smile back. I moved my chair and myself and my books a little further away from her. When she looked my way, I turned to the window and stared out at the snow. And every day after that, when Maya came into the classroom, I looked away and didn't smile back. So at this point, we're learning the narrator. We don't know her name. I know her name is Chloe because I read the book already. But at this point, I'm thinking, Chloe's probably not very nice. The reason I can think that Chloe's kind of rude is that she is not smiling back, even though Maya's smiling at her. She's moving her chair and her books and herself away and staring away and looking out the window. And then in the last paragraph, it says that at every day after that, Maya smiled. She never smiled back. So to me right now, I'm going to say Chloe is rude. All right, let's see if these characters develop throughout the text. My best friends that year were Kendra and Sophie. At lunchtime, we walked around the schoolyard, our fingers laced together, whispering secrets into each other's ears. One day, while we were near the slide, Maya came over to us. She held open her hand to show us the shiny jacks and the tiny red ball she'd gotten for her birthday. It's a high bouncer, she said. But none of us wanted to play, so Maya played a game by herself. So I'm thinking Maya, she's still friendly. She's asking them to go. She's going over there showing them her stuff and asking them to play. Thinking they're still rude. Chloe and her friends are still rude because they're like, no, we're not playing with you. Hope the story changes a little bit. That afternoon when we got back into the classroom, Maya whispered to me, bet you can't guess who the new Jax champion of the world is. So Maya's talking to her. Shows Maya's friendly. Behind me, Andrew whispered, Chloe's got a new friend. Chloe's got a new friend. She's not my friend, I whispered back. So now we learned Chloe, even though Andrew was saying stuff, Chloe said she's not my friend. So Chloe is rude. I still think that way. No character development yet. The weeks passed. Every day we whispered about Maya, laughing at her clothes, her shoes, the strange food she brought for lunch. Some days Maya held out her hand to show us what she had brought to school. A deck of cards, pick-up sticks, a small tattered doll. Whenever she asked us to play, we said no. So Maya's still friendly. She's trying to show them all the stuff. And every day they are still being mean and rude. I almost think they're a little bit like bullies because they keep picking on Maya. They make fun of her and laugh at her. I could change it to say Chloe is a bully. That could be a little bit. The days grew warmer. The pond thawed. Grass began growing where snow had once been. One day, Maya came to school wearing a pretty dress and fancy shoes. But the shoes and the dress looked like they'd belonged to another girl before Maya. Once again, they're not very nice to her, even though she has a nice dress and she's trying to fit in. I have a new name for her, Kendra whispered. Never knew. Everything she has comes from a secondhand store. We all laughed. Maya stood by the fence. She was holding a jump rope but did not come over to us to ask if we wanted to play. After a while, she folded it doubled, rolled the ends around each hand, and started jumping. She jumped around the whole schoolyard without stopping. She didn't look up once, just jumped and jumped and jumped. So at this point, I have seen Maya develop. Maya was friendly before. She was constantly asking them to do stuff like that with them. But at this point, I'm going to say now Maya is, I'm going to say depressed. Because at first she was so friendly, she just kept trying to be their friend. So if I'm doing this, I can say at the beginning, Maya felt depressed. But at the end, at the beginning, Maya felt friendly. But at the end, she felt depressed. She changed her mind. She changed because of the fact that everyone was mean to her. Nobody was nice to her. So because of all of the things they did to her, making fun of her, laughing at her, refusing to play with her, all of those reasons I can use to explain her character development from friendly to depressed. Let's see if Chloe ever gets it together, though. The next day, Maya's seat was empty. In class that morning, we were talking about kindness. Miss Albert had brought a big bowl into the class and filled it with water. We all gathered around her desk and watched her drop a small stone into it. Tiny waves rippled out, away from the stone. This is what kindness does, Mrs. Albert said. Each little thing we do goes out like a ripple into the world. Then Mrs. Albert let us each drop the stone in as we told her what kind things we'd done. Joseph had held the door for his grandmother. Kendra helped change her baby brother's diaper. Even mean old Andrew had done something. I carried teacher's books up the stairs, he said, and Mrs. Albert said it was true. I stood there holding Miss Albert's rock in my hand, silent. Even small things count. Miss Albert said gently, but I couldn't think of anything, and passed the stone on. So at this point, I think that the absence of Maya is helping Chloe kind of realize, man, I'm not a very nice person. I think we're seeing her develop. Maya didn't come to school the next day or the day after that. Each morning I walked to school slowly, hoping this would be the day Maya returned and she'd look at me and smile. I promised myself that this would be the day I smiled back. Each kindness, Miss Albert had said, makes the whole world a little bit better. I'm thinking I'm seeing some character development. I'm seeing Chloe change. But Maya's seat remained empty, and one day Miss Albert announced to the class that Maya wouldn't be coming back. Her family had moved away, Miss Albert said. Then she told us to take out our spelling notebooks. That afternoon I walked home alone. When I reached the pond, my throat filled with all the things I wished I would have said to Maya. Each kindness I had never shown. I threw small stones into it over and over, watching the way the water rippled out and away, like each kindness, done and not done. Like every girl somewhere holding a small gift out to someone, and that someone turning away from it. I watched the water ripple as the sun set through the maples, and the chance of a kindness with Maya became more and more forever gone. So that's the end of our story. So we talked about how Maya is friendly at the beginning, and then by the end she is feeling depressed because the kids are being mean to her, they're laughing at her. So at the beginning, Chloe is rude. So now this is going to be your turn to explain character development. So I'm going to write what I want you to do, and you can either do this in Google Classroom if you are from my school, or you can do this in the comments for me. So all you need to write is, at the beginning, Chloe was rude, because that was the word we said, but at the end, she was blank. I want you to tell me how she was. She changed her mind because blank, and I want you to tell me why. All right, so go ahead and pause this video now. What you want to do is pause it, and you want to copy this down, fill in the blank to how she changed, how she was feeling by the end, and tell me why. I need you to provide me with that evidence. And remember, good readers do this so that we can understand the impact the events have on the character. How did the events of this story impact Chloe? And if we're thinking about the lesson or the theme of this story, it's to always be kind. You never know when you'll no longer have the opportunity to be kind. So go ahead and explain this character development for me and turn it in as your assignment. See you later, guys.